Remember, please hit like and subscribe for me. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go. Hi, everyone. Today's Thursday, November the 13th, and this is the Moneyball Morning Report for the Benzinga Pro platform. My name is Anne-Marie Band, charts by TrendSpider and Gamma Flows by MentorQ. This morning, we find an interesting observation. The first is that the put wall, which had been at 6,700 for quite some time, is now sitting 200 points below at 6,500. That's interesting. I would have to say call wall has not moved. It's still 7,000, but the fact that they shifted the put wall down, pretty telling. Okay. That being said, if we take a look at the hourly charts, if we take a look at the 4-hour charts, we can see that where we're caught is between value area high, which is a little bit over 6,900, 6,905, something like that, and 6,850, which also happens to be the 0 DTE put wall. The 0 DTE call wall is 6,900. So as of now, support 6,850, resistance 6,912. A lot of people were betting that the end of the shutdown would bring a gap up. But oftentimes we know price action is baked in to the charts. So let's collapse down to the 30, where a lot of us get our mechanical flows on the day, and see what's going on in terms of inventory accumulation. We know the big box is fairly well defined between, 6,900 and 6,850, right? We know that that's the case. So about 50 points of flow, maybe 60 in general. We had an initial gap down, which is very interesting, right? Very, very interesting. Off of the anchored VWAP, which happens to be the midline, and lo and behold, this is where we are chopping around, 68.75. Though I don't call your attention to it as much anymore, it is important to remember where the opening range candlestick is sitting. Sideways formations yesterday, as we came into 4 o'clock, we're sitting right at the open of the 30-minute candlestick. So we initially did a little bit of nothing, which I find very interesting. So let's pay attention to that. We know the midline, 68.75, and the baseline, 68.53. Those lines are clearly defined, but they do mark out, that's the volume point of control. That's interesting. The point of control is the low of the 30-minute candlestick. So yesterday, massively unchanged, as Don Kaufman would like to say. Here we're looking at price compression, trying to drift higher lows, but lower highs. A little bit of a complicated formation here in general, okay? Other than that, momentum is flat. We had a very big response at the open of Europe. And of course, we know this 4-hour candlestick tells us a lot of information. This 4 a.m. Eastern Time candlestick. The opening had also quite a lot of volume. It's giving us a floor at around that 68.55 or so. It's a little bit porous on the bottom, don't want that. And the top, 68.75. Should a breach above 68.75 could easily send us to 68.85 and then the top of the box. But that's where we're sitting today in this box. Momentum slightly down, but not accelerating down. Moving averages sideways. What does that tell us? We're in a big fat chop zone. We literally are still inside the first 30 minutes of the opening range. What does this tell us? What's the takeaway? Dips are buys, spikes into the edges are sells until they're not. So how do you know that? Look at what happens in a break over an important edge. It loses the edge, which gives us the first buy, but it cannot get back up over the VWAP. That's a big fat tell. If it can't get up over the VWAP, we're going to trend down, okay? And that's how it looks. Big explanation there, but I think you've got the gist of it. Apologies about my voice. Got some kind of something going on here. But let's take a look at the NQ. Look at the volume. I mean, compression, wow. A lot of people are catching on to this thing that I spoke about last week. We're seeing it all over the place. There's a lot of rotation going on inside of the Nasdaq. What is the 4-hour chart telling us? A bit sideways, right? The big pocket forced to stare down appears to be a floor near 25,480. Let's see how it's behaved relative. Yeah, here's our box. Zero DTE call wall, 25,870. Zero DTE put wall, 25,400. The weekly put support, weekly call wall, monthly call wall, still at this 24,000 area. The big call wall still at 26,000. So let's have a look. Here's the first 30-minute candlestick formation, a fair bit of volume popping in right there. The low of that candlestick has been tested once, but held. So that's our relative floor. Okay? We are holding 25,527. Pullbacks into that zone, pretty much giving us this. This is an anchored VWAP from the beginning of the month. It's essentially flat. This is our daily VWAP. Also essentially flat. Big bounces giving us sell zones. That number, 25,721. The break above there takes us into, more than 100 points higher, 25,832. Expectation today, it's flat. So dips into, there's about a 40-point risk event here. But I would suspect that 25,500 dips into that zone should give us a buying area easily. And then we retest the areas of congestion. The areas of congestion are so tight here. Accumulation, 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 fade, back down into the old accumulation. So it's just this great big box of hashing to and fro, right? Pretty messy. I mean, that looks really pretty awful, actually. Let's take a look at the YM. Everybody was talking about, yay, down, new high, looks incredible. I've got the put wall at 0 for some reason. It's just some sort of weird calibration thing with the YM, so regrettably I have to do this. What are we staring down? Huge breakout yesterday. But what are we doing now? This is pretty interesting right here. This box, oh, for goodness sakes. This box right here with a low of 48,321. It's really a little lower than that. It's piercing. But this box has been inventory accumulation for quite some time. Very thin bounce to the upside here. I still don't know what kind of news hit the wire for folks to do this, but this is a massive candle move for the YM. You know, almost 400 points in a 30-minute candlestick. That's not normal. And so statistically, it should completely retrace. Now, whether it will or not remains to be seen. But so far, we're breaking trend by time and not price, giving this 48,324 area bounce zone. But remember, what has to happen for continuation? Remember, I said dips or buys until they're not. So this might be an until they're not. If you take a short here, because what we've done is lose the ledge and we seem unable to get back into the box and above the VWAP. That implies the relative risk here. It's not trivial risk for the size of this move, but you could say if it gets above the anchor VWAP at 370, that is a legitimate resistance zone, right? So if it can't get up over 48,370, it's going to rotate down and hold this box. Mentor Q this morning says their letter says shutdown over, tensions remain, Washington reopens after 43 days. So, you remember that 4 a.m. candlestick that we're seeing it across the board, right? UK economy barely grows in the third quarter, misses forecasts ahead of crucial budget. That's not too good. So that's a news candle from what's happening across the pond. Be careful here. I would expect that we fill this, but if we don't, we'll go right up to the top of the box, 48,524. Let's take a look at oil. Oil faded well past my targets yesterday. Let's take a look at the 4-hour chart. See the box, support until it's not. Here is the 0 DTE put wall at 59. We got to get up over that number. Remember, if price action is under the put wall, 0 TDE put wall, that means the guys who sold the puts are losing money. You might go, what about the guys who bought the puts? Yeah, those guys are doing okay. They are. They're doing okay. Here's the bizarre thing. What is this? The call wall? 61. This is the big call wall. Let's take a look at, let's pull this in and see what my lines are. The big call wall is 61. The 0 DTE call wall is up at 63. So, are they expecting news? Potentially. Are we likely to bounce above this put wall 0 DTE? Yes. Statistically speaking, the winners of options are option sellers, statistically speaking. Okay? So when they sell the put, they want price to stay higher. When they sell the call, they want price to stay lower. And they win most every day because they're in between the box. When price gets off sides, they have to rotate. And that means price moves outside of that range. Today, 59 is going to be very important for prices to hold in general. All right. What should we do? Should, could. Steep momentum, but volume by price and time, not so much. This one still, remember, this momentum oscillator will always read rotation first. This one, second. And when they're moving together in the same direction, well, you got happiness moving along. Okay? So, maybe I should change this. If it's a little more reflexive, that's a little better. Okay. So, dips or buys as long as we do not lose $58. 58.13. And I would suspect that we hold it there. Let's take a look at gold. Holy smokes, this is crazy. All right, so the big call wall and the 0 DTE call wall are all together sitting at 4,200. 4,250, excuse me. 4,250. And what have we done? Climbed right into it. The flows, the momentum flows are pretty jagged, right? They're pretty jagged, but generally upward. Generally upward. It's holding above the zero line. VWAP is trending upward. It's all upward. Dips or buys. So let's take a look at how price action began here and where we left off. Highest volume candlestick of the day was the 10 a.m. candlestick. Began a very aggressive move off of the close of the 9:30 candlestick, broke out above this 41.50 area and spent a little bit of time at 41.72 and then off to the races. 4,200, a lot of time spent there in the overnight, so we can assume that the inventory is being built right here. And then we've got the pockets up. Right now, point of control, resistance sits at 4,250, 4,250. Pullbacks, buy zones, volume pretty big, right? Pretty big volume relative to normal. So we're going to watch for that dips or buys. But you want to be quick, because if the floor falls out from these folks, there's something's amiss. Now, yesterday, for some of us, I sent an option chain showing what they've done in gold. And it's truly incredible. I will put it up in the other rooms that I missed today. But this is incredible amounts. And I listened to an interview yesterday that said a $96 million coordinated call block is what it's called, got put in gold. And so we want to see how well it holds. Don't know if it was based on this price action, but this is when the block got put in. This is when they bought all those options. And so they are very green right now, but the options that they bought are very far out of the money, which they're expecting a much larger move, apparently. But that being said, if somebody buys these calls outright, that means that the market maker had to sell it to them, and in order to hedge himself, he has to buy the instrument. So it was just, kind of a massive event. It truly was pretty massive. Next time we're on Benzinga Pro, I'll talk about it next time we have our midday money ball, because it was truly massive. All right, let's take a look at SPY. SPY, look at this. Gap down, filled the gap, gapped up, filled the gap, and now we're sitting in sideways formation. So what is going on in here? I got to tell you, it looks kind of messy. There's something about these charts, I just cannot put my finger on it. They just don't feel good. Call wall, 700. Put wall, 660. So, 40 points of SPY. That's a lot. 0 DTE put wall, 674. 0 DTE call wall, 682. They're dancing at that call wall right now. Resolution is going to give us direction. We hold above it. That means a break above 685 will ramp up into potentially 689. I suspect we hold value area high, but if we lose 679, the point of control is 671. So, very interesting price action here. I gotta say, I don't love it. It is not attractive. Sideways to down on the VWAP. Momentum in negative trending territory. Volume by time and price negative in general. Maybe I'll make this one a little bigger. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. Spikes or sell zones, dips or buys. What's the moral of the story this week? You got to be really careful, folks. I know everything's running up, looks great. Guys like All Star Charts who are always like, look at the numbers. And yes, there are places to find opportunity always. Doesn't mean the market is healthy. And the market does not look healthy. It looks like it's caught some kind of cold. And that should mean that we adjust our size. That's all. Play the trend, adjust your size, watch your risk. It's always the same name of the game. All right? Take care, everybody. I'll see you on the streams.